The massive space station Nexus Prime hung in the darkness like a metal city among the stars. Its towers stretched for miles in every direction, home to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Inside the great council chamber, 13 different alien species sat in judgment of humanity. Ambassador Jake Morrison stood alone at the center of the room. His dark blue uniform bore the simple patch of Earth, a small blue and green circle that seemed tiny compared to the complex symbols worn by the aliens around him. The chamber was built for giants, with ceilings that disappeared into shadows. Above, Jake felt very small. The Vorthic Chancellor rose from his seat. He was 8 feet tall, with gray skin like stone and 4 arms that moved with careful precision. His voice came through the universal translator, as cold and final as a winter storm. A species known as humans has been found guilty of aggressive behavior and unpredictable actions, the Chancellor announced. After long discussion, this council has reached a decision. Humanity is too dangerous for civilized space. Jake felt his heart sink, but kept his face steady. He had expected this, but hoped he was wrong. Behind him sat Admiral Kate Sullivan, the only other human allowed in the chamber. She wore her military uniform with pride, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her hands rested calmly on her lap, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. The Kalari delegate spoke next. She looked almost human, except for her blue skin and the way her eyes glowed like soft lamps in the dim light. The humans have attacked pirate ships without asking permission from local authorities. They have taken the law into their own hands. Too many times. We were protecting innocent people, Jake said, stepping forward. Those pirates were killing families, stealing supplies from colony worlds. Someone had to stop them. The Chancellor raised one of his 4 hands for silence. This is exactly what we mean. Humans act first and think later. You believe your way is always right. This makes you dangerous to the peace we have built. A crystal being that looked like living diamond spoke from across the room. The Nexari representative had no mouth, but her words came through the translator like music. Humans feel too much. Your emotions make you unstable. When you are angry, you fight. When you are sad, you make poor choices. Civilized beings control their feelings. Jake wanted to shout that emotions made humans strong, that caring about others was not weakness. But he knew it would only prove their point. Instead, he tried reason. Humanity has given much to this galaxy, he said. Our doctors have saved millions of lives with new medicines. Our engineers have built better ships and space stations. Our scientists have shared every discovery freely with all species. The Chancellor nodded slowly. Yes, humans are useful. But usefulness does not change what you are. A sharp knife cuts both ways. It can heal or it can kill. Humans are the same. Admiral Sullivan stood up from her chair. Jake knew she was supposed to stay quiet, but he was not surprised she spoke. Kate Sullivan had never backed down from a fight in her life. With respect, Chancellor, she said, her voice steady and strong. Every species in this council has fought wars. Every species has made mistakes. The Vorthic bombed 3 planets in the Outer Rim just 50 years ago. The Kalari enslaved the Minari for 200 years. Why are we different? The crystal being's light grew brighter, because we learned from our mistakes. We grew beyond our violent nature. Humans are still young, still wild. Perhaps in 1,000 years, you will be ready for civilized space. Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but pushed it down. Getting angry now would only prove they were right about human emotions. The Chancellor continued with the sentence that would change everything. All human colonies beyond the Sol system will be evacuated immediately. All human ships will return to Earth space. Humanity is banned from traveling beyond the asteroid belt of their home system. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. There were 12 human colonies scattered across nearby star systems. Millions of people called those worlds home. They had farms and cities, schools and hospitals. Some families had lived there for 3 generations. "You cannot do this," Jake said. "Those people have done nothing wrong. They are farmers and teachers, not soldiers." "They are human," the Chancellor replied. "That is enough." A new voice spoke from the shadows. The Drakari ambassador was a creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. His red eyes gleamed as he spoke. "We have prepared enforcement fleets to make sure this order is followed. Any human ship found outside Sol System after 6 months will be destroyed." Jake felt the room spinning around him. This was not just exile. This was imprisonment. They were locking humanity in their own system, like animals in a cage. Admiral Sullivan's voice cut through his shock. "And if we refuse?" The Chancellor's forearms spread wide. "Then there will be war. 13 species against one. The humans are brave fighters, but you cannot win against the entire galaxy." Jake knew she was right. Humanity had maybe 300 warships, and most of those were old patrol vessels. The Galactic Council could field thousands of advanced battleships. It would not be a war. It would be extinction. "How long do we have?" Jake asked, his voice barely a whisper. 6 months, the Chancellor said. "All humans must be back in Sol System by then. A blockade will begin immediately after that time limit." The crystal being's musical voice added one final insult. "We are being generous. We could simply destroy all human settlements now. Consider this exile a gift." Jake looked around the chamber at the beings who had just destroyed his species' future. Some looked satisfied. Others seemed uncomfortable, but said nothing. None of them looked like they might change their minds. He straightened his shoulders and spoke with as much dignity as he could manage. "The human government will comply with this order. We will evacuate our colonies and return to Earth space." The Chancellor nodded. "Good. This session is ended." As the aliens filed out of the chamber, Admiral Sullivan moved to stand beside Jake. They watched in silence as the most powerful beings in the galaxy left to plan humanity's imprisonment. "What do we tell them back home?" Sullivan asked quietly. Jake activated his communication device and sent a message that would echo across human space within hours. His words were simple, but carried the weight of humanity's greatest defeat. "They are sending us home, and they are locking the door behind us." In 6 months, humanity would be alone in the darkness, cut off from the galaxy they had tried so hard to join. But Jake Morrison did not know that this exile would forge his species into something the galaxy had never seen before, something that would return stronger than anyone could imagine. President Alan Carter stood behind the wooden podium in the White House press room, looking out at the crowd of reporters and cameras. The weight of what he had to say pressed down on his shoulders like a heavy coat. Behind him, the flag of Earth hung still in the windless room. "My fellow humans," he began, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "I must share news that will change our future forever. The Galactic Council has ordered all human colonies to be evacuated. We have 6 months to bring every human citizen back to Earth space." The room exploded with questions, but Carter raised his hand for silence. "They have declared us too dangerous for the galaxy. Every human beyond our solar system must return home or face destruction by alien fleets." Across human space, the great evacuation began immediately. On New Britannia, the first human colony beyond Earth, families packed their lives into cargo containers. Children who had been born under an alien sun would see Earth for the first time. Parents who had spent decades building farms and businesses watched their dreams crumble into dust. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge of the EHS Defiance, humanity's most advanced warship, Through the window, he watched transport ships loading people and supplies from the orbital stations above New Britannia. Each ship carried thousands of refugees who had done nothing wrong except be human. "Sir, we have Vorthic patrol ships approaching," his communications officer reported. "They are demanding to inspect our cargo." Ryan gritted his teeth but gave the order. "Let them aboard. We cannot afford a fight right now." The Vorthic inspection team was led by a commander with scars across his gray face. He walked through the human ship like he owned it, checking every container and questioning every person. When he found a case of advanced medical supplies, he confiscated it. "These medicines are too advanced for humans to possess," the Vorthic commander said. "You might use them to create biological weapons." Ryan watched helplessly as supplies that could save thousands of lives were taken away. The medicine had been developed by human doctors to fight a plague that had killed millions of aliens just 2 years ago. Now those same aliens called it dangerous. Meanwhile, in the research labs on Luna Base, Dr. Lisa Ward was destroying 20 years of scientific work. The aliens had ordered all dangerous research to be eliminated before the evacuation was complete. Computer files were being wiped, and prototype equipment was being melted down. But Lisa was not destroying everything. Late at night, when the alien monitors were not watching, she copied the most important data onto hidden storage devices. The research on quantum jump drives, advanced materials, and energy weapons went into a secret vault deep underground. "Are you sure about this?" asked her assistant, Dr. Paul Green. "If they catch us hiding this technology, they will kill us all." Lisa looked at the data crystals in her hands. Each one contained discoveries that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. "If we lose this knowledge, humanity will never be able to defend itself. We have to take the risk." On Vega Station, the largest human mining operation in the galaxy, engineer Carlos Rodriguez watched alien ships destroying the equipment his team had built. The massive mining platforms that could extract metals from asteroids were being blown apart by Kalari warships. 20 years of work, Carlos said to his foreman, Pete Baker. 20 years building the most efficient mining operation in known space, and they are turning it into scrap metal. Pete spat on the deck. "They do not want us to have the resources to build ships. They are making sure we stay weak." Carlos nodded as he watched another explosion tear apart a drilling platform. But he was memorizing every detail of the destruction, learning how the systems had been built and how they could be rebuilt. His mind was already working on improvements, on ways to make the next generation of equipment smaller, faster, and harder to detect. The evacuation fleets moved slowly across space, protected by human warships that were vastly outnumbered by alien patrol vessels. Every day brought new humiliations as alien inspectors took away technology, supplies, and even personal belongings they claimed were too dangerous. Admiral Kate Sullivan commanded the evacuation from her flagship, coordinating hundreds of ships and millions of people. Her staff worked around the clock to plan routes and schedules, making sure every human made it safely back to Earth space. "Ma'am, the Drakari are refusing to let the colony ship Freedom pass through their territory," reported her aide, Commander Lisa Park. "They say the ship is carrying military equipment." Kate looked at the manifest. The Freedom was carrying farming equipment and children's toys. Military equipment? The Drakari claim that human farming tools could be converted into weapons, Commander Park explained. "They want us to take the long route around their space, which will add 3 weeks to the journey." Kate felt anger burning in her chest, but she gave the order to change course. Every delay meant more time for something to go wrong, more chances for trigger-happy aliens to start shooting. But she had no choice except to comply. On the final day of evacuation, Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the last transport leaving human space. Below him, the abandoned colony worlds grew smaller until they disappeared among the stars. Somewhere behind them, alien ships were moving in to claim the worlds the humans had built from nothing. "It feels like we are running away," said Dr. Ward, who stood beside him at the window. Jake shook his head. "We are not running away. We are regrouping." The massive convoy of human ships crossed into Sol System just hours before the deadline. As soon as the last ship passed the asteroid belt, energy barriers sprang to life around the entire system. The prison walls were now in place. Captain Mitchell watched from his bridge as alien patrol fleets took position just outside the barriers. Vorthic battleships, Kaluri cruisers, and Crystal Nexari monitors formed a ring around humanity's home. Any human ship that tried to leave would be destroyed instantly. "Sir, we are getting a transmission from the lead Vorthic ship," his communications officer reported. The message was simple and cruel. "Humans are now contained. Any attempt to leave Sol System will result in immediate destruction. This is your final warning." President Carter addressed the nation one more time from the White House. Behind him, windows showed the night sky filled with the lights of returning colony ships seeking places to land. "We are home," he said to the cameras. "All of us, together in the system where humanity began. They think they have defeated us by forcing us to return. They think isolation will make us weak." Carter paused and looked directly into the camera. "They are wrong. We will use this time to become stronger. We will use this time to become something they never expected. When we return to the galaxy, it will be on our terms." But even Carter did not know how prophetic his words would prove to be. Humanity was alone now, cut off from the galaxy by alien fleets and energy barriers. The exile had begun, and with it, the forging of an empire that would shake the foundations of galactic power. 5 years had passed since the Great Evacuation, and Earth was no longer the same world. President Alan Carter, now older with gray streaking his dark hair, walked through the underground tunnels beneath the Colorado mountains. The secret facility around him buzzed with activity as thousands of scientists and engineers worked on humanity's greatest project. "Show me what we have accomplished," Carter said to Dr. Lisa Ward as they entered the main laboratory. The room was filled with holographic displays showing ship designs, weapon systems, and star maps that reached far beyond the solar system. Lisa smiled as she activated the central display. A massive three-dimensional image of a warship appeared, rotating slowly to show every detail. "This is the Titan-class battleship, Mr. President. It combines every piece of alien technology we saved with new human innovations. The ship in the ASEAN's hologram was beautiful and deadly. Its hull was made from materials that could bend light around them, making the ship nearly invisible. Energy weapons lined its sides, and the engines at the back glowed with power that surpassed anything in the alien fleets." "How many can we build?" Carter asked, studying the technical readouts that showed speed and firepower ratings far above current galactic standards. "Carlos Rodriguez has perfected our automated construction systems," Lisa replied. "His shipyards in the asteroid belt can produce one Titan-class ship every week, along with dozens of smaller vessels." Carter nodded and looked at the other displays. Around the room, each screen showed different aspects of humanity's transformation. Population graphs showed billions of people now living in space habitats throughout the solar system. Industrial charts revealed mining and manufacturing operations that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen. Deep in the asteroid belt, Carlos Rodriguez stood in the control center of Shipyard Alpha, the largest construction facility in human history. Through the reinforced windows, he could see robotic arms assembling the hull of another warship. The facility was so large that it took light several seconds to travel from one end to the other. "Status report," Carlos said to his supervisor, Elena Vasquez. "Bay 7 just finished the destroyer-class ship Phoenix, Elena reported. Bay 12 is starting work on another Titan-class vessel. We are ahead of schedule on all projects. Carlos smiled as he watched the automated systems work. The alien blockade had forced humanity to become more efficient than ever before. Without access to alien workers or imported materials, every human had to contribute to their species' survival. The result was an industrial system that could outproduce entire star systems. On Mars, now covered with massive cities and manufacturing complexes, Admiral Kate Sullivan reviewed intelligence reports from long-range scouts. Her new flagship, the EHS Retribution, was being built in orbit above the Red Planet. The ship was 3 times larger than any vessel in the alien fleets and carried weapons that could destroy entire space stations. What do our scouts tell us about the blockade? Sullivan asked her intelligence chief, Colonel Bobby Turner. The aliens have become lazy, Turner replied. They rotate their patrol ships on a predictable schedule. Most of the time, they are not even watching the barriers. They think we are trapped and helpless. Sullivan looked at the tactical displays showing alien ship positions. The Vorthik maintained 12 battleships, the Kalari had 8 cruisers, and the other species contributed smaller vessels. It seemed like a powerful force, but Sullivan knew it was nothing compared to what humanity had built in secret. Captain Ryan Mitchell, now promoted to admiral, commanded the stealth reconnaissance fleet from his ship the EHS Shadow. His vessels used advanced cloaking technology to slip past the alien barriers and gather intelligence on the galaxy beyond. What they found surprised everyone. The galactic economy is failing, Mitchell reported during a secure communication with Earth. Without human colonies producing food and minerals, several alien worlds are facing shortages. The Kalari are having trouble maintaining their fleet because they relied on human-built components. The information was valuable, but also troubling. Some species were suffering because of humanity's exile, while others were profiting by taking over abandoned human territories. The galaxy had become less stable without human influence to balance the various alien factions. Dr. Lisa Ward made her most important discovery while analyzing intercepted alien communications. Deep in her laboratory on Luna Base, she decoded messages between the Galactic Council members that revealed the truth behind humanity's exile. They were afraid of us from the beginning, she told President Carter during their weekly briefing. The Vorthik Council records show they were worried about human technological progress. We were advancing faster than any species in galactic history. Carter leaned forward in his chair. They exiled us because we were becoming too advanced? Not just advanced, Lisa replied. The aliens were afraid we would surpass them within a few decades. Some council members predicted that humans would become the dominant species in the galaxy within 100 years. The revelation changed everything. Humanity had been punished not for being violent or unpredictable, but for being too successful. The aliens had used their moral arguments about human aggression to hide their real fear of human potential. President Carter called an emergency meeting of humanity's leadership. In a secure conference room deep beneath Washington, the most powerful humans in the solar system gathered to discuss their future. We have spent 5 years preparing for defense, Carter said to the assembled group, but perhaps it is time to consider offense. Admiral Sullivan activated a holographic display showing the current state of human military power. The numbers were staggering. 3,000 warships of various classes, all equipped with technology that surpassed the galactic standard. Space-based manufacturing that could produce fleets faster than aliens could imagine. A population of 12 billion people, all united in their determination to break free from exile. We could fight our way out tomorrow, Sullivan said. Our ships are better than theirs, and we have them outnumbered in this sector of space. Carlos Rodriguez spoke from his position at the table. Our industrial capacity means we can replace losses faster than any alien fleet. Even if they bring reinforcements from across the galaxy, we can outbuild them. But Dr. Warg raised a concern. If we attack the blockade, every species in the galaxy will unite against us. We might win the first battle, but we cannot fight the entire Galactic Council at once. Carter considered all the information before making his decision. We will not attack the blockade yet, but we will begin preparing for our return to Galactic space. When we do leave this system, it will not be as refugees begging for mercy. Admiral Mitchell asked the question everyone was thinking. What will we be returning as, Mr. President? Carter looked around the table at the leaders who had transformed humanity from exiled victims into something unprecedented. We will return as an empire, the Solar Empire, with the resources and power to reshape the galaxy itself. The meeting ended with plans for the next phase of humanity's development. The exile had forged them into a unified species with technology and industry, beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Soon, they would announce the return to the stars, but not as the same humans who had been banished 5 years ago. The galaxy had tried to contain humanity, but instead had created something far more powerful than they ever imagined. 10 years had passed since humanity's exile began, and the solar system was no longer recognizable. Massive orbital cities surrounded Earth like metal moons, their lights visible from the planet's surface even during the day. Mars had become an industrial powerhouse with factories that never stopped working. The asteroid belt bristled with hidden military bases and shipyards that produced vessels at an incredible pace. President Alan Carter, now in his 3rd term, stood in the observation deck of Orbital City 1, looking down at the blue and green world where humanity had begun. His hair was completely gray now, but his eyes still held the determination that had carried his species through their darkest hour. "It is time," he said to Admiral Kate Sullivan, who stood beside him watching. The endless stream of ships moving between the orbital installations. "We have spent 10 years building our strength. The question is no longer whether we can break the blockade, but whether we should announce our intentions first." Sullivan nodded as she looked at the tactical display in her hands. The numbers told a story that would have seemed impossible a decade ago. The Solar Empire, as they now called themselves, controlled military forces that surpassed any single alien species. 3,000 warships of advanced design filled hidden bases throughout the system. "Our intelligence reports show the alien blockade has only gotten weaker," Sullivan said. "They rotate old ships through the patrol routes and barely pay attention to our borders anymore. They think we have accepted our fate." In the asteroid belt, Carlos Rodriguez stood in the command center of his greatest achievement. SciFiPrime was a construction facility so large it had its own gravity and weather systems. Through the massive windows, he could see dozens of ships being built simultaneously by robotic systems that worked with perfect precision. "Status report on the new fleet," Carlos said to his chief engineer, Maria Santos. "A final Titan class battleship will be completed tomorrow," Maria replied. "The escort destroyers are ready for deployment. All ships have passed their combat trials and are fully operational." Carlos smiled as he looked at his life's work. The alien exile had forced him to design construction methods that no species had ever imagined. His automated shipyards could build vessels faster than alien worlds could mine the raw materials for their hulls. Admiral Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EHS Infinity, at the edge of the solar system. His reconnaissance fleet had spent years mapping the galaxy beyond their prison, learning the positions and weaknesses of every alien installation within 50 light years. "Sir, we are detecting the scheduled patrol change," reported his sensor officer, Lieutenant Amy Chun. "The Vorthic ships are leaving their posts right on time." Mitchell watched the alien vessels depart through his advanced sensors. The blockade, that had once seemed impossible to break, was now just a minor obstacle. His stealth ships could slip past the barriers at will, but today they had a different mission. "Begin the operation," Mitchell ordered. "Target all alien sensor platforms and communication relays. I want them blind and deaf before they know what happened." The human stealth ships moved like ghosts through space, their advanced cloaking systems making them invisible to alien sensors. Within minutes, they had destroyed or disabled every piece of alien surveillance equipment around the solar system. The aliens would not know what was coming until it was too late. President Carter made the announcement from the same room where he had first told humanity about their exile. But this time, the message had a very different tone. "My fellow citizens of the Solar Empire," he began, his voice carrying across every human settlement in the system. "Today marks the end of our exile and the beginning of our return to the galaxy. We are no longer the same species that was banished 10 years ago." The response was immediate and overwhelming. On Earth, billions of people gathered in public squares to watch the announcement. In the orbital cities, workers stopped their tasks to listen. Throughout the asteroid belt, military personnel prepared for the moment they had trained for their entire careers. "We have used our time in isolation to become something the galaxy has never seen," Carter continued. "A unified human empire with the technology and resources to reshape the balance of galactic power. Today, we take our first step back into the stars." Admiral Sullivan received the order she had been waiting for and immediately activated the Solar Empire's military command structure. From her flagship, the EHS Retribution, she coordinated the largest human military operation in history. "All fleets, this is Admiral Sullivan." She broadcast on secure channels throughout the system. "Operation Homecoming is now active. Move to your assigned positions and prepare for contact with hostile forces." The response was swift and precise. Hundreds of human warships emerged from hidden bases and began moving toward the system's edge. The vessels moved in perfect formation, their crews trained to a level of efficiency that surpassed any military force in galactic history. Admiral Mitchell's reconnaissance fleet struck first. The alien patrol ships detected them just moments before human weapons turned their vessels into expanding clouds of debris. The few aliens who survived long enough to send distress signals found their communications jammed by human electronic warfare systems. "All alien vessels in the blockade have been eliminated," Mitchell reported to Admiral Sullivan. "We control the space around our system." But the real test came when human fleets moved beyond the asteroid belt for the first time in 10 years. The moment they crossed the old barrier line, alarms began sounding on alien worlds throughout the sector. On the Vorthic homeworld, Chancellor Krosk received the emergency report with disbelief. "Impossible," he said to his military advisors. "The humans have been contained for 10 years. They have no ships capable of breaking our blockade." The Vorthic emergency fleet launched immediately, but they arrived at the Sol system to find something that changed their understanding of galactic power forever. Hundreds of human warships hung in space, their designs unlike anything in alien databases. The vessels were larger, faster, and more heavily armed than current galactic technology should have allowed. "This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Solar Empire Fleet," came the broadcast that reached every alien vessel in the area. "You are ordered to withdraw from human space immediately. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." The Vorthic Fleet Commander, General Fax, tried to maintain his authority. "Humans, you are in violation of your exile. Return to your system or face destruction." Sullivan's response was immediate and devastating. Human weapons systems, based on technology far beyond galactic standards, reached out across space and disabled 3 Vortec battleships in a matter of seconds. The alien vessels were left drifting powerlessly, their crews alive but their ships completely helpless. "That was a warning," Sullivan broadcast. "The next shots will not be so gentle. You have 1 hour to withdraw all alien forces from this system." As word of the confrontation spread across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. The same chamber where humanity had been banished now hosted frantic discussions about how a single species had developed such overwhelming military superiority. But President Carter had one more message to deliver. From his command center deep, beneath the Earth, he sent a transmission that would reach every alien world in known space. "The Solar Empire hereby announces its independence from all external authority," his voice carried across the galaxy. "We claim sovereignty over our home system and all space within 50 light years of Earth. Any attempt to interfere with human ships or human territory will be considered an act of war." The exile was over, but the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in the organization's 1,000-year history. The great chamber on Nexus Prime buzzed with fear and confusion as representatives from 13 alien species tried to understand how humanity had become so powerful so quickly. Chancellor Krosk of the Vorthik paced back and forth on his platform, his forearms gesturing wildly as he spoke. "Impossible," he kept repeating. 10 years ago, we contained them with ease. How do they now possess fleets that outmatch our combined forces?" The Coleri delegate, her blue skin pale with worry, activated holographic displays showing the human ships that had destroyed the blockade. "Our military analysts have studied the wreckage from our patrol vessels. The human weapons use energy signatures we have never seen before. Their ships move faster than our sensors can track." From her crystal platform, the Nexari representative's musical voice carried notes of panic. "The humans have established permanent bases beyond their system. Our scout ships report mining operations and defensive platforms being built at incredible speed." Ambassador Jake Morrison entered the chamber with a confidence that made every alien representative remember why their species had feared humanity in the first place. But he was no longer the desperate diplomat who had pleaded for his species. 10 years ago, he wore the uniform of the Solar Empire, dark blue with silver trim that caught the light as he moved. Behind him walked Admiral Kate Sullivan, her presence filling the room with quiet menace. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Imperial Navy, and her eyes held the cold calculation of someone who commanded fleets that could reshape the galaxy. "The Solar Empire greets the Galactic Council," Jake said, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "We come not as supplicants seeking membership, but as an independent power seeking diplomatic relations." Chancellor Krosk stopped pacing and turned to face the humans. "You were exiled for the safety of civilized space. That exile stands until this council decides otherwise." Jake smiled, but there was no warmth in the expression. "Chancellor, I believe you misunderstand the situation. We are not asking for permission to exist. We are informing you of a new reality." Admiral Sullivan stepped forward and activated her own holographic display. The image showed a 3-dimensional map of local space, with human territory marked in blue. The alien representatives gasped as they saw how far human influence had already spread. "The Solar Empire now controls 50 star systems," Sullivan announced. "Our mining operations extract more resources in a single day than most alien worlds. Produce in a year. Our shipyards can build entire fleets while your species struggle to maintain existing vessels." The Drakari ambassador, his red eyes glowing with anger, rose from his seat. "This is an act of aggression against the established galactic order. We demand you return to your system immediately." Jake turned to look at the lizard-like creature who had helped plan humanity's exile. "And if we refuse?" "Then there will be consequences," the Drakari hissed. "The combined fleets of the Galactic Council will force you back into containment." Admiral Sullivan's response was calm but devastating. "Ambassador, are you declaring war on the Solar Empire?" The chamber fell silent as the weight of those words settled on every alien present. The Drakari ambassador realized too late that he had just threatened a species that had already proven their military superiority. Chancellor, Krosk tried to regain control of the situation. "No one speaks of war, but the humans must understand that their actions threaten the stability of galactic civilization. You are exiled because your species lacks the wisdom to use advanced technology responsibly." Dr. Lisa Ward, now bearing the title of Imperial Science Advisor, entered the chamber carrying a data crystal. "Chancellor, perhaps you should see what your species has accomplished while we were in exile." She activated the crystal, and holographic displays filled the chamber with images from across the galaxy. Alien worlds struggling with resource shortages, trade routes disrupted by piracy, technological stagnation as species failed to innovate without human competition. "The galaxy has become less stable since our exile," Lisa said. "Crime rates have increased, economic growth has slowed, and scientific advancement has nearly stopped. The civilized space you claim to protect has become weaker without human contribution." The crystal being's light dimmed as she spoke. "The humans bring chaos wherever they go. Their emotions make them unpredictable and dangerous." Jake stepped closer to the Nexari platform. "You claim we are dangerous because we feel emotions. But what has your perfect control achieved? Your species has made no significant discoveries in 500 years. You have created nothing new, explored nothing unknown. You exist, but you do not live." President Alan Carter's voice suddenly filled the chamber through the communication system. Even though he remained on Earth, his words carried the authority of the most powerful human in the galaxy. "Members of the Galactic Council," Carter began, 15 years ago, you judged humanity unfit for civilized space. You claimed we were too aggressive, too emotional, too unpredictable. You were afraid of what we might become." The alien representatives listened in uncomfortable silence as the human leader continued. "You were right to be afraid. During our exile, we have become something unprecedented in galactic history. We have unified an entire star system under one government. We have developed technology that surpasses your combined scientific achievements. We have built an empire that will reshape the balance of galactic power." Chancellor Krosk tried to interrupt, but Carter's voice continued without pause. "But we did not become this through conquest or oppression. We became this through cooperation, innovation, and the refusal to accept limits imposed by others. The same emotions you feared have driven us to achievements you declared impossible." Jake looked around the chamber at the alien faces, staring at him with a mixture of fear and fascination. "The Solar Empire offers the galaxy a choice. You can continue your efforts to contain us, which will fail and cost lives on both sides. Or you can accept that humanity has earned its place among the powers of the galaxy." Admiral Sullivan added her own warning. "Our fleets are already establishing permanent bases throughout this sector of space. We will defend our territory and our people with whatever force is necessary. But we prefer cooperation to conflict." The Vorthic Chancellor's forearms trembled with rage as he realized the truth. "You planned this from the beginning. You used our exile to become stronger." "No," Jake replied. "You gave us the gift of isolation, and we used it to become what we were always meant to be. You tried to cage humanity, but instead you forged us into an empire." Dr. Lisa Ward stepped forward with one final revelation. "The technology we have developed during our exile has applications beyond military use. We can offer the galaxy advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel that will benefit every species. But these gifts come with respect, not submission." The chamber erupted in heated discussions as alien representatives tried to process what they had heard. Some species called for immediate military action against the humans, while others recognized the futility of fighting an enemy that had already proven superior. Jake Morrison raised his hand for silence, and the chamber gradually quieted. The Solar Empire is not seeking your approval or your membership. We are informing you that we exist, we are powerful, and we intend to remain free. The galaxy now has two major powers instead of one. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Jake delivered humanity's final message to the beings who had tried to destroy them. You banished us because you feared we would change the galaxy. You were right. The change has already begun, and there is no force in known space that can stop it. The humans left the chamber in silence, their footsteps echoing in the vast space as alien representatives stared after them. The galaxy would never again underestimate the species that had turned exile into empire and weakness into strength that could reshape the stars themselves.